No,
Okay.
just pick it up. We'll patch it together. We're online now.
Okay, we're back online. Welcome back. Authentication issues or technical issues, which are always fun. It's nice surfing the swirly seas of technology these days. So we were talking about. There we go. Okay, I have Rona back. I tools to manage your time management tools that are good for publishers. That was the subject we're on.
That was the subject, yes. You know, I think that the best time management tool, this is answering a question with a non-answer, I suppose, is the one that works for you. But for me, it has to be very intuitive, and it has to let me be able to look at things daily and then long term. I happen to like the online software program Simpleology. Its basics program is free. I know that I have my Google Calendar on my phone, and it reminds me, half an hour a week before, depending on what I need, which is wonderful. And then. It's what works for you. I also tend to be, I don't know if it's because I'm a writer, but I tend to like physical planners as opposed to
I love them.
Just the online. So I recently heard about bullet journaling, which I thought was fascinating. Talk about falling down the YouTube rabbit hole. Boy, are there videos on that. But bullet journaling is a way to keep an index and keep track of various lists from what you need to do today to your personal goals. You could have your blog topics. People keep bucket lists in bullet journals, but you could keep your entire timeline that way. Melissa and I both love checklists. We love making them, and we love the to-do list. It feels so good.
It does. I put buy broccoli on mine so that I can tick something off. You know,
get out of bed.
Yeah, exactly.
Put things on your to-do list so you can take them off.
Exactly.
It's true. It's sad, but it is whatever works for you. With the Writers Business School, we actually create checklists that go with our with some of our courses. We have ones that we have sold individually to help people. Blog tours, need a specific checklist. Obviously, a book launch has an enormous one for everybody involved, but we use those to keep track. And again, the good news is because it's unlike just having, write chapter 1 today and hopefully get through, chapter 2 or get through the book outline, with business, it's like, okay, I'm 6 months out. I need to have this and this done. Great, check. And, oh, yes, I'm 6 months out again. Do this, do the same thing. And we have ways to help you learn also, is what you're doing working for you? I don't know if you've seen, there's this great, I think it's an Adobe Cloud commercial with them trying to go to Mars. No, Mars. The sponsor called. The hashtag. Millennials like a hashtag. The name needs to be bigger. They don't like the color, and they're completely at the mercy of this these responses, and yet they have no idea where their marketing money is actually going. So we want to teach writers to be able to do things that are quantifiable. Not just repeatable, but there's a business joke that I've heard that says, 50% of your marketing budget is doing nothing. The problem is you don't know which 50% that is, so you can't cut it.
I like that one.
And when you have a limited budget to begin with, that's very unfair. So, being able to track things, checklists are great for that. And you can work with those pieces to go kind of backtrack and go, okay, I'll miss this. Need to do it this week. No problem.
Right.
It's not brain surgery if something is off by a week or a few days. Guess what? Nobody dies. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Or if your program crashes when you're in the
or your program crashes. Exactly. Life interferes. How many of us have planned to do one thing and then family and children and other priorities?
The weather.
No, you're not. You're doing this today.
Yeah, exactly.
How many of us have had days we've gotten so much done, and none of it was on the to-do list at the morning?
Oh yeah. No, it's they're interesting little animals, to-do lists.
Yes.
I have lots of them. I'm definitely going to check out the bullet journaling because that would definitely work for me. Could you tell us something about your school? It's 13 years now, a dozen years that you've been running it. What are the major changes you've been through, responses to the market? What are some of the biggest challenges that you see writers running into that they hadn't considered? We were talking before about vocabulary, things like return on.
Oh my God, it did it again. Please tell me it didn't do it again. Okay, Karen cut out, but I'm hoping that overall we're okay. We've been doing this for since 2013. The best thing that's out there is it seems to me that more and more technology is giving us more and more ways to do things at no or low cost. And in fact, one of the classes coming up for writers this fall is 10 free or nearly free sites that you're not using that you could be to improve your business.
Excellent.
Because there are more things out there that you can use, and if they work for you, use them. We don't tell you, be on every single social media platform out there, and don't forget Pinterest. And no, find the ones that definitely work for you. Facebook and Twitter, those are the big two, and then the other ones, works for you. But there are a lot of opportunities, and we keep trying to stay abreast of those and make sure the writers know that. Return on investment and capture rate are numbers. And, as writers, we don't think of them as being important or creative, but they are. Return on investment is if you spend X amount of money, how much will you get back? That's a return on your investment. Hopefully the return is greater than your output. And your capture rate is basically, for every 100 people who see your name, how many people will then go and buy your book? That's a capture rate for a writer, for a publisher. I think a lot of publishers don't even know their individual writers' capture rates, but writers themselves, it's not a hard number to come by. And in a class we teach, we'll help you to
some of this
in
stuff,
a week.
Some of the stuff is you just learn it once, then you implement, or at least the way I learn. You learn it once, you implement it, and then you go back to the resource, learn some more. You kind of triangulate. Hi, Karen.
Hi. I don't know what happened. Suddenly I had GitHub from Pedagogy on my screen and no Hangout.
Weird.
Yeah. So,
okay. Well, you're back. I'm gonna
retrograde or something.
It's funny because we have a really good friend who's very interested. He's also publishing. He's very interested in astrology, and he was saying that kind of starting, and I think it was about May until November, we're in the midst of an astrological storm, and you basically have to, you look outside and you say, okay, it's pouring rain, I'm going to bring an umbrella. And so this astrological storm is basically saying, okay, things are just going to get a bit screwy in the next 6 months.
Well, at least we got back on the same thing. I just put it on
umbrellas.
Yeah.
I just put it on Twitter and the new link, so at least we're on the same one. Okay.
Yep, that's true. Okay, so anyhow.
I was talking about capture rate and learning that, because you can do it in a week or two if you come up with as a writer, all you need is a giveaway, a download, a favorite recipe, a surefire way of doing something connected, of course, to your platform, and then you ask and you post this in as many places as you already have, and based on the number of people you reached and the number of people who requested, you do a little math. And really, it's only very little math, people. You can live without algebra still, I promise. But you can learn your capture rate. And once you know it, now you can make decisions as to, are you going to try to, if for every 100 people who see your name, 10 buy, do you want to try to reach 200 people so that 20 buy? Or do you want to find ways to increase your capture rate so that for every 100 people you reach now, 20 buy? So you can play with it in two directions, and you can do them simultaneously. First, you try to reach more people, and then you try to reach more people and get more response. So they're numbers. Myth refers to it as the magic number that allows you to really know your business and know what, kind of be able to anticipate. Is this event worth going to? Is this blog worth commenting on? And things like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then I was going to ask you a few questions about your school, how it's set up and how it works, and kind of the variety of students who you work with, what platforms you use. How does it work? And
Well, we have what we call we have online classes. So most of our classes right now have been webinars,
okay,
so that people can can watch them from wherever they are. We do replays afterwards too. So if you sign up and we do it at 7 o'clock on an East Coast time and you're a West Coast person, you can watch it later to make it work for you. And then get in touch with us if you have questions that you couldn't have answered because it wasn't live. We're working on creating now within the next 2 weeks, we should have up our on-demand classes, so audio classes. You can buy them and listen to them whenever you need them. We do on-hand classes where we've had 1 or 2 occasions where authors really needed some hand-holding and wanted to spend the money to do that. And then we have on-site. We've taught in person for writers and writers groups who need that kind of insight. But our goal is to reach as many. Our first thought was we want to reach that multi-published writer who's about to quit, who's just like, this is ridiculous. I'm spending all this time and frequently, a lot of money trying to get their books sold. They're spending money on marketing or Facebook ads or attending events or going to another writers conference, and they're just ready to give up. They're tired of telling, when families said, so how's that little book writing thing you're doing going? Most of us have been there as writers, and we really want to reach those writers to let them know that, look, it's just there's a skill you're missing, and we want you to learn it, and we want to teach it to you, and we want those books because we all rewrite because we have these stories to tell. We have this connection we want to make. We don't write thinking, I want to sell books. We write because we want to tell, to connect, to share. And when that doesn't happen, it's painful, it's frustrating, it's as I said, it makes you kind of wake up going, oh, I can't face another day of writing knowing that no one's ever going to read this. And we're here to help you change that. To don't take that next writing class. Your writing is great. Let us teach you some business skills, and you'll see a different result.
Okay, great, thanks. And we just had a question that came in, which is, how does your Writer Business School program relate to small publishers who hope to grow their own businesses as publishers?
Well, it's key for them. I mean, don't get me wrong, the big publishing houses aren't doing a lot for their writers either, but small and independent publishers have obviously even more limited resources, and they themselves as a house are trying to get recognized and noticed and grow their reputation. If you as one of their writers can be one that they can guarantee is going to sell books, put the word out there, be recognized, be noticed, we want the publishers to know that this is a resource that they can offer their writers, so that the publishers themselves, obviously, if I as a writer, I'm selling 400 or 500 books as opposed to the less than 100, then I become a very valuable asset to my publisher, and that's what I want to be. In fact, it's one of the reasons we have the publisher relations section, is because working with your publisher, it's a joint venture. It's a business. You're there in business, and like it or not, you're in business, and you can make that business work together.
Right, okay. And then just briefly, you mentioned the 5 areas that your business is involved in. Would you like to touch a little bit on them and describe just quickly what they are?
Sure. We start with platform, which is the one that people are in some ways are least familiar with. It's the one of ours that's very different from what other people are doing, and I've mentioned that's that topic, that subject, that thing you love, that you could talk about forever. And I don't care if it's chocolate chip cookies. We can help you make that your working platform, honestly. We move from there to reader stewardship, which is how to, Melissa likes to say, how to play with your readers, how to interact with them and stay connected to them, so that they feel that connection, that bridge you've built first with your platform now becomes a place where you can go back and forth. We then teach them and work with them on publisher relations, which is how you work with your publishing house, your editor, if necessary, your agent. We then work on distribution, which of course teaching them more and more about how you're going to get your book into the hands of readers and what makes that work. And that's key for those small independent publishers. That's something that I think they would have an interest in the classes that we do for that, for themselves possibly, and definitely for their writers. And finally, all the pieces come together for our fifth piece, which is book launch, which requires, obviously, the platform to start and all of those things together to let that book release be successful. And whether that's a current book release, which is obviously what's preferable, or looking at ways to even relaunch a book because a new one's coming out, or you're going to do something special with the first of a series. There's lots of ways to make a book launch successful.
Okay,
wonderful. And less stressful, knock on wood.
Yes, stressful is one of those things because your heart is in it. That,
it is. It's all over it.
You're not selling someone else's shoes. You're selling something that you produced yourself, and you really
blood, sweat, and tears. This is the result of time away from your family and countless rewrites and all these other things. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, wonderful. And so those are the 5 main areas that you're working on, the Writers Business School. Is there anything else about the school that you'd like to mention about how it works, or
I don't know,
students working together, learning from each other, or anything?
We do that. We have a big Facebook group, and then we have a small for people who are taking classes. We have a private one, so you can always reach Melissa and I and brainstorm with your fellow classmates, tweak a platform or ask if anybody knows a good blog about a certain topic, things like that. So we do try to get authors and writers working together to support one another. We do encourage each other, though, not to keep selling just to other writers. It's amazing, you join Facebook and you join all these writer groups, and all we're doing seems to be selling or talking to other writers, and that's great. Writers are readers, but it's not going to be your full readership. So we do encourage you to sell to somebody other than the members of your writers group and your local professional association and things like that.
Okay, great. And then one more question: do you have a program focused just for small indie publishers of other books, or would you consider creating one?
Absolutely. I think that the more that the indie publishers can realize what their writers can do individually and how you can work together, as I said, it's a joint venture. When we see things like, the FedEx Orange Bowl, that's a very big joint venture. The Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, that's a very big joint venture. These are the ones most people are familiar with. But what you create in the business relationship between a small and independent publisher and the author is also one, and it can be and should be, knock on wood, mutually beneficial. So yeah, that would be something we could definitely do and address some of the concerns and even more importantly, I think, the hopes of the independent and small publishers have for their writers, because they want to work together. We want, they're not just publishing our books to be nice to us. There's more to it. There's a bottom line involved. And the more they can realize that they can collaborate with their writers on this success, I think the more successful both sides will be.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us, for speaking with us, for putting up with the various technological, astrological storms. I really do think that when I'm looking for people to work with on publishing, I'm always very interested in finding people who a disaster comes along and you just say, right, that was a disaster. Well, okay, we're through that one. Instead of just getting hysterical, and you have just proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that you are really good at just saying, all right, well, whatever, that was interesting.
Yeah, next.
Yeah, exactly.
Check, please.
Yeah, exactly. Or check, I've done that.
Yes, that's right. Got through that disaster. Next.
Exactly. And I grew from it. I'm a stronger, more resilient human being, more flexible.
Yes.
Not the rest. Exactly. Well, thanks so much for speaking with us, Rona. It was really just such a pleasure setting this interview up with you, and then talking with you about this fantastic business school that you have, because it definitely does fit a niche in the whole writing profession. And we're so lucky to have you here in New England with us. Where are you? You mentioned you had some face-to-face classes.
We do. We're located currently in the Merrimack Valley, so any place within. And I grew, as I mentioned before we got on, I'm a Jersey girl, so I can hit the entire Mid-Atlantic, New England region. We love being able to travel.
Oh, okay. So that was one quick question that I had: is do you go out and do workshops and move around? And,
absolutely. Absolutely. My muse is a gypsy. She likes writing in all different places and having different sites and different visuals. So.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. Yep. Well, wonderful. Okay, once again, this is Karen Einstein speaking from the Independent Publishers of New England, and we're here with Rona Gofstein of the Writers Business School, and our producer is Charlotte Pierce, and we try to run this series every Thursday at noon. We should, now that the summer is coming to a close, we should start a regular noon schedule again. At the moment, we're working on setting up for the big fall shows of the New England Booksellers Association, which is in Rhode Island in September 21st and 22nd, I think. And then in October, we have the Boston Book Festival, the New England Library Association, and of course our conference, where we hope to see a lot of you there and get to network and kind of coordinate with lots of other people in the field, because our objective here is just to increase the quality of everyone's books, not only our own, and the reputation of independent bookselling and book producing here in New England. So thanks to people like you, Rona, it's happening.
Yay!
Thanks so much, and we hope to see all of you very soon. Have a good week. See you next week.